Record. Hey, 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 happy, what is it, Monday. We haven't met on a Monday in a while, I feel like. Own Your Spark Call, so glad to have you guys here. Just a reminder, coming up, some of you newbies will be having your $10 monthly charge for the community chat and Zoom calls. I'll reach out to you so you know if that's you, and you can always access the link to pay your $10 monthly fee at the end of your 10 module course. So if you scroll all the way down, you'll see it at the very bottom if you have not already subscribed to the $10 monthly fee thing. Those of you who joined last year, you're already grandfathered in, you know who you are, don't worry about it. Aside from that, tonight we have another guest speaker for, oh my God, look at that smile. For Autism Awareness Month. Super stoked to have my girl Nurse Nick up in here. She's got all these different acronyms that explain her credentials, and I'll let her go ahead and spit that fire to you guys because I don't want to make it sound any less incredible than it really is. So, Nurse Nick, I'm going to go ahead and pass you the mic and let you take the floor. I will say this, I know her on a personal level. This is my girl Nicole. We work together through Body, as many of the people that you guys have heard speak. It's crazy how many people that opportunity has brought into my life, vice versa. So I am so honored to have her here and have her share her expertise with you guys. She geeks out on all the things that she really loves, just like many of us. So I think you guys will enjoy to hear her talk a little bit about the healthcare system and navigating that for us autism parents. So Nicole, go ahead, girl, and take the flow.
Hello, guys. My name's Nicole Toyzan. I'm a nurse practitioner. And sorry if you hear my little dog right below my feet. She's like, you are gone at work all day and she wants attention. But she's not going to get it for just a little bit. I do have some slides. I'm pretty sure I can share them, right? Let's see.
I made you the host, so you should be able to.
Yeah, cool. Maybe. Hmm.
You'll see down in the bottom middle, it'll be an arrow pointing up that says share screen and it's green.
Yeah. And for some reason, when I hit, share screen options, maybe.
And desktop is typically like the one you want to pick. It'll give you some options.
Yeah.
The other thing you could do is send me your slides and I could share my screen.
Okay, dang it. I should have. Of course, it's not going to work, right?
Any way you want to send it to me, just tell me which way.
Oh, maybe it's going to work now. Where is it?
Sometimes it'll make me like log in too, like a second time. It's strange.
Hmm. I'll just shoot it to you because I got it right in front of me.
Okay. Facebook, email, what you looking at?
Facebook.
You got it.
All right.
Facebook, and then you can just tell me when to hit the next page. Okay, let's see. Um, I gotta turn this light off. I'm blind as a bat. It's blinding me. Sorry, y'all. Bad lighting, but I'm not the host, so there should be a way that I can. Oh, so if I do this, it'll pin her. Oh, but maybe we don't want to pin her because then. Oh, I can share my screen. Okay, that's cool. So if I share my screen, can you guys see it? Yeah? Okay, cool. Come shut my door, babe.
It won't let me do it because it's too large. Of course.
Email?
Okay, I can do that. Sorry, y'all.
What, baby? So what is up with you guys? Anything new? Oh, the principal just emailed me back. Time to set up that, what you call it, IEP. I'm nervous about that. I'm not gonna lie. Switching to a new school. Oh, you need my email?
Um, it's of course making me do a verification code. Here we go. Take a log into my email.
So Cheryl, I know obviously you're an Aussie, so your healthcare system might be laid out a little bit different. I also have a UK nurse who recorded a video for us because of the time zone difference, and I'm gonna play that for you guys on a call for us next month. Um, but you'll just have to like pick and like pull pieces from both and see what is similar for you guys, because I know like everything's a little different. I'm gonna drop. Where the frick is the chat?
All right, your email, meet little girl.
Little
Or
like the size, Little, Brittles, Brittles, 100 at gmail.com. It's a coming around the mountain when it comes. Hey, 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 hey. Oh my God, Lance does not know how to shut the door. I done asked him 3 times. Killing me. Stephanie was supposed to be here, but she said her little got sick. Man, what is going on with all this illness? I can't even keep up, you guys.
Like 3 or 4 different families who had the stomach bug. And then Wesley, when he got it this week, and apparently the whole class was gone like half of last week and half of this week for the same thing, I'm sure.
Oh my God. I'm not ready for that nonsense.
He went back to school today and threw WTF around a few times. So,
Did he?
uh,
Oh my
Last,
God.
I was going to say,
you don't say
this
that.
time last week, this one was in hospital. So,
Oh my God, why?
cellulitis on his right hand.
Oh, poor baby.
Was he on steroids and stuff to get better?
Yeah. So he was on an IV drip, and then they switched him to the oral medication last Tuesday, and we were able to come home.
Poor guy. Cellulitis
Oh,
is no joke. I had it from a bee
Yeah.
sting once.
so
Yeah,
I
it was
sent
lucky.
it to you, Britt.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
there it
lucky. My
goes.
husband knows about it and told me to go straight to the ED when I sent him the photo of his hand swelling.
Well, good thing he was on it. Shoot. All right, I think we're in business. Can you guys see my slides? All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and mute my screen so I don't overwhelm Nicole with my sound over here.
All right, and I apologize for all of that. It looks totally different, so I can tell it must be a different version of PowerPoint, but that's totally cool. It's got the same words on it. That's all that matters. So my name again is Nicole Toyzan. I'm a Master of Science in Nursing, family nurse practitioner, and I am board certified. That's what all those fancy letters mean. Navigating the healthcare system. So just a little bit about me to get started. Again, I'm a family nurse practitioner. I went to Saginaw Valley State University for my registered nursing degree. And then for my advanced practice degree, I went to the University of Michigan. I also have a certificate in trauma-informed practice, which is a reason that I'm very passionate about mental health as well as just trauma-informed practice in general. Right now, I'm currently working at a primary care pediatrics office in Saginaw, Michigan. My history before this, I worked at an urgent care as a nurse practitioner, and then my nursing background is in pediatrics and adult in pediatric ICU. Little bit about me, had to throw the dogs in there. I'm a fur mama. I love plants. I'm a fellow chronic illness warrior and neurodivergent myself. I do have ADHD and I'm likely on the spectrum myself. I've just have never received a diagnosis. So I'm also, as Brittany mentioned, a member of her body team. And I'm really excited to be talking to you guys today. All right, so we're just going to cover like 4 steps that I put together to help when you're approaching healthcare for your kiddo or someone that you know that has autism. First of all, finding the right provider. Of course, this is super important because if you have a provider that isn't neurodiversity affirming, they aren't going to get you what you need, most likely. You can try, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. So finding that right provider is going to be key. Again, I mentioned neurodiversity affirming practice. And what does that mean? It means presuming competence and promoting autonomy, respecting all communication styles, being informed by all neurodivergent voices, taking a strengths-based approach, honoring neurodivergent culture, and tailoring support to individual needs. So once you find that right provider, again, this threw off the, a little bit on the PowerPoint, but that's okay. Power of communication. So when you finally get that right provider, how great it is to finally be able to talk to somebody that listens to you. You can go, Britt. You good? All right, step 2. So the appropriate screening and referral. So now you finally got somebody that wants to listen to you, is believing you that you know your child best, and is doing the appropriate screenings and referrals. What are those? So step 2. So in my office, this screening particularly is not widely used, except in pediatricians' offices. Unfortunately, I love this screening because if you go online, you can actually find the screening yourself. So if your doctor's not doing it, you can do it yourself at home. It's filled out by the parent. It assesses 5 areas: communication, gross motor, fine motor, problem solving, and personal social. And they are at it's ages and stages. So basically every stage where you are supposed to have a pediatrician's visit, there's an ASQ to go along with it, which is super helpful. So you can just kind of follow along their development and make sure that they're not going too far. Do we expect 100% on all these? Absolutely not. So when you look at like how it's scored, it's a little bit different how the scoring is. They don't need to get a 60 in each category. Like a 40 is pretty good in each category. So just understanding how it's scored can be helpful too.
I'm pretty sure this is how like they figured out Tegan's autism, because at
Okay.
18 months they were already like, I remember I kept doing these like when every time you come in for that checklist, like you like go through and you just like write your answers for like a million different questions in these different areas, and I'm pretty sure this is what moved our
Yeah.
autism test along
It
pretty
is
quickly.
super long, and I always like make sure to thank parents when they fill it out, because it is quite long and lengthy in the office, and to sit there with your child or multiple children and try to fill this thing out. In our office, we actually the doctor I work with, which is awesome, she hates like paperweights, so we use dry erase. So we have dry erase like laminated things that we kind of just reuse, which is kind of cool, the ASQs.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
exactly how ours was in our office.
really? That's awesome.
The same exact thing. And you know what? This is so important, even though, like you said, it's a pain in the ass. It is so super important because early intervention seriously changed Tegan's life. I'm telling you, there's other women that I talk with who have children the same age as Tegan, and I learn their differences quite often, I think, are because of the amount of therapy he had early on. I know everybody doesn't love therapy, but for us, it's been great. So I'll just say that.
I think more than anything, I'm like, I never found them annoying. I found them extremely emotional because my child was so delayed and our first pediatrician was not affirming of the diagnosis I was pushing for. She kept telling me like, oh, it's just a speech delay. And I was like, but he's like, I'm saying no on a lot of these categories that aren't like, just speech and communication based. So I was like, the only thing he's excelling at is gross motor. And I was like, that like is, yeah, very, very. And so every time I'm like checking off no and then not being listened to, it was very emotional having to fill these out. I'm like, oh,
I'm so sorry to hear that, because the reason that like I have people fill these out is because I routinely and regularly look at them, and I don't know, it drives me nuts. But I know not all providers are like this. That's why finding the right provider is the first step.
but yeah, right. I'm like, if you seek it out, you can find somebody who will actually support you and your children and their unique needs. I have one
Absolutely.
now.
We always did these too, and there were things that like he wasn't meeting, but it
Mhm.
always kind of turned into, oh, well, we'll just keep monitoring it.
Right. I wish I would have included, you can always Google, if you Google the ASQ3, you can see the score sheet. And what I mean by like, there's a cutoff region of ones in white, where that's the good section. Gray is the maybe they need help section, and the dark brown means okay, they need to go somewhere and get some therapy or something. So it really lets you know where do they go in each of those categories. So I look at that, and as I go into the next steps, I'll tell you what I do usually from there. Um, But glad to hear that this is actually more widely used than I thought it was, because I've heard that most offices don't do a lot of this. And I even the doc that I work with, she doesn't routinely do them in all of her visits, but I love them because it helps me get to know the family better. And they know, I always tell parents they know their child best, no matter how smart any provider is or what schooling they've had. A parent knows their child best. So really listening when someone, like Jesse said, speaks up and has a concern, like really taking that into account. And I always try to. Another
Our new
screen.
pediatrician will walk me through, like, because she knows my history with Wesley. And so now that we bring Raylan to her as well, she actually will show me the results of her, like, tallied up the scores on her ASQs. So I can kind of be aware of where Raylan's at, just
Yeah.
even if just to like kind of put me at ease. Cause I'm like, is this good, bad? Like what? Yeah. Cause it's kind of complicated to a layman, you know, but
Mhm.
it helps having her support me in that way by just kind of walking me through it.
Absolutely. And I think that's another good point. Something that I could bring into my visits, because I don't routinely bring the score sheet in, but I let them know how it looks because I'm just familiar. I can look at it and be like, this is how it looks, you know? Um, but I think it's great that she takes that time, or he or she takes the time to go over that with you, because it's super important in validating the concerns of parents and seeing where their child's at, and then being able to go from there. So another screening, well, actually, I'd actually like to take a step back a little bit. I kind of left out, I do not have any children myself, but I do have two nephews. My oldest nephew has autism, and along with knowing Brittany, it has really opened my eyes, and I've learned a lot through all of watching a lot of you guys in your journey. So thank you, because it's helped me learn as a nurse practitioner. Um, so I'm just thinking of all that as I'm speaking to you guys. But this is another screening tool that this one is more geared towards autism. It's called the MCHAT-R. The R just stands for the revised version of it. It's a modified checklist for autism in toddlers. It's consists of 20 questions that's filled out by the parent. It's typically given between 16 and 30 months of age. I typically have it filled out at 30 months of age is when I do it in the office. The result will indicate if there's any further evaluation needed. In my office, I typically refer to Saginaw County Community Mental Health Authority for an autism evaluation if I feel it's indicated. Usually, so the MCHAT is a yes or no based questions. There are only 3 questions on it that are supposed to be no. Every other question is supposed to be yes. And if you any question that's wrong, you get an additional point. So the higher the score, the greater the potential risk for autism. All right, so step 3 is obviously getting to management. So now we've got the diagnosis. And I'd also like to back up to the diagnosis just one moment to say that I personally work in Saginaw County in Michigan, and every county is going to be different in how they handle autism diagnoses. I found this out the hard way, but in Saginaw, all autism diagnoses must go through Saginaw County Community Mental Health Authority, meaning that they have to get the diagnosis through them and then can receive treatment anywhere that they would like following that. So I'll take that as you will. Wherever you guys live, there may be special protocols in place as to how a diagnosis is originally gotten. And once a diagnosis is received, then how therapy is approached is usually through referrals from a primary care provider. Um, so you've got the diagnosis, now what? Of course, advocating for your child's specific needs. This may include any referrals, including occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, ABA, music therapy, things like that, as well as discussing should the child get an IEP or an individualized education plan at school. Other things I wanted to mention, in navigating your child's support needs, this may include special written orders by your primary care provider for communication devices or special supplies. Um, if you are interested, I feel free to reach out to me. I do have some resources regarding how to get supplies. One of the biggest ones I use is online called Aeroflow. They do a really great job if you're in need of like briefs or diapers after a certain age, because as we know, that gets very pricey. And lastly, step 4, and probably one of the most important, caretaker health. So what can we do as caretakers to best take care of ourselves so that we can be there for our kiddos? And that includes mental health, that includes physical health, that includes, of course, yes, exercise and doing journaling, meditation, things like that to keep your mental health at bay. But also, how are you best taking care of yourself? Do you have a doctor that you see? Do you go to therapy? Do you, are you taking care of all of your health needs in that regard? And of course, I link that back to Brittany's body team because that is what's been super helpful to me. And anyways, she can help you with all that stuff. Final tips and takeaways. Thank you guys very much for letting me speak today. I just wanted to share a little bit with you about autism, diagnosis, navigating the healthcare system, if it can be of help to any of you. And I'll just open it up for any questions.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute or drop it in the chat. Is it, so where do we go? I have one, the briefs situation, diapers and briefs. I know there are some moms that could probably benefit from that now even.
Yeah.
Where do we go exactly for that?
It's called Aeroflow, AERO flow.
And so, 'cause I've done this process here, and they actually we're going through Medline, and like it's super convenient because like they send us a text and are like, hey, it looks like it's time to re-up on your
Yes.
medical supplies, and so they'll send us diapers and wipes and whatnot. But I just don't know if the way I went about it was convoluted, but I pretty much just went and talked to the doctor, and they wrote me a script, and I was going to like take that somewhere, but I didn't know where to go. Fortunately, the nurses ended up finding somewhere, and then they had to like set email paper. They're like 4 hours away, so we had to do it mostly virtually, but they ended up sending me papers to print and sign and then send back to them so they could get like authorize it or whatever. But I'm like, so if you go to Aeroflow, do you take out the middleman in that way if you have, the medical proof? Is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So from my knowledge, I'm not super knowledgeable on Aeroflow, but I have used it a good handful of times. Usually the parent has to initiate using Aeroflow, and then there's something that the doctor or the provider will sign. And then there's usually it's covered. It does depend on insurance coverage too. So keep that in mind, things like that.
Yeah, and we're on Medicaid, so like in case that's
Yeah.
important information.
Medicaid usually what kind of Medicaid do you have?
I'm on Superior Health Plan, so
Okay.
they're pretty good. They cover a lot of services
Yeah,
for
I was
and
gonna say they should cover it for you.
And actually, I think I don't know if any of probably no other Texas moms in here, but Texas a few years ago, Greg Abbott passed the law to make sure that ABA would be covered under Medicaid, under Texas Medicaid. But it's still not necessarily implemented at all the ABA centers, but it's yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
And we don't have ABA here anyway, but if we did.
Yeah. Any other questions, anybody?
Anything. Any kid got a rash? I'll be sending Nicole pictures. My kid got a rash. What's this, Nicole?
Feel free. Those are the ones where I'm like, oh, I gotta open this right away. Like piece of
Okay, well,
rash.
have you
I've
ever
thought
seen,
about her a couple times with things and I haven't.
so dude,
Feel
Raylan
free
broke
to
out
it.
a
No
full body
problem.
rash just a few weeks ago. Raylan had like full body broken out all in rash. I should have sent you pictures.
Rashes are
It
the
was
hardest too.
crazy. And we're pretty sure it was actually an amoxicillin rash,
Oh,
but
really?
not necessarily an allergy because she has never reacted to amoxicillin before. But then when she was given Augmentin, after like 5 days of treatment, she broke out in this rash. But
Days. Wow.
we were like suggested to not like stop the treatment because they were like, well, if you do that, she's just going to get it back because it was her third round of antibiotics for the year. And they were like, we really think she needs to finish this round and try to knock this out for good.
Crazy.
And sure enough, the rash just cleared up on its own. But like at first I was freaking out. I was like, is this an allergic reaction? But she had no other symptoms, just physically like
I hate rashes, to be honest.
hold
And
on.
the pediatrician I work with, she loves she loves a good rash. She said that to me herself. So she'll be like the medical assistant will come out, she'll be like, I got a rash, and she'll be like, ooh, and I'm like, it's yours. Um, so she's always up for a rash too. If you send it to me, I can consult her. She loves it. So she's
That's
very knowledgeable, and
hilarious.
I've learned a lot from her.
That's hilarious. Tegan, he like, I don't know if anybody else's kids do. I've not heard nobody else's kids do this. When Tegan gets very overwhelmed or overstimulated or super anxious, he gets like first a rash on his face, and then it'll go to his chest, and then his belly, then his legs and his arms, and his whole body will be covered in like, it looks kind of like hives, is what it looks like.
Like a stress rash. Like
It's fucking, pardon my French, it's crazy because it's just like, it just creeps up and it gets worse and worse. Like it, the first time it happened, I thought something was like going wrong, but then I figured it out after he had so many meltdowns. It's only when a lot of the time around food is the main, but it's bad. And I,
which does even maybe make me mention another point, the ARFID stuff too. Keeping that in mind. I've kept that in mind for several of my patients recently too. So I've been more knowledgeable about that stuff lately.
that's like that's our hardest thing about autism, I think, is the food, the ARFID.
I have one patient right now that comes to mind that I really think that's what she has going on. And I think it's been misdiagnosed for years, and she's just losing weight and stuff. So hopefully we can help with that. But
It's just terrible. So what, when that happens, do kids wind up getting like feeding tubes and stuff? Is that what happens?
yeah, and it depends on this, yeah, of course, the specific child's needs, but I haven't personally seen somebody outpatient with an NG tube yet in this office, but I've only been working there since August. But I did when I was inpatient.
I imagine I mean, obviously there are some.
Hmm.
In that case, I feel like I've seen pictures where it like goes in their nose. Isn't that what it does?
Yeah, yep, that's a nasogastric tube. And I've even sent multiple patients like home care nursing orders lately. So keeping in mind that sometimes home care is an option as well. Can
Man,
write for that. Yeah.
that's something that scares the shit out of me. That's my biggest fear. Tegan,
And you stopped feeding therapy, right?
we did,
Or
and we slowly sort of kind of started doing it. He's at the point right now, since we've moved again, where, I mean, and he did this in South Carolina. We took him to a restaurant, and because the food smelled smelly, he like ran across the restaurant, hid under a table, would not sit with us. And so today we started his 5-star chart, and like the thing is like you can get a star on your chart if you let mommy sit by you. And so today I started with just a tiny little muffin that I knew wouldn't freak him out because it doesn't have smell, it's really small, it's not like a big fat salad or something. And basically, oh, I hope he gave him a star. He ate with me, and then Lance joined us shortly after at the very end of the table. So like the goal is just to keep getting closer and closer and closer, and then just getting him more warmed up to food. And I'm gonna start, like, the only way I've ever been able to get something new into him is by hiding it into foods he likes, and I only can do the smallest amount, and sometimes he catches me, and I'm screwed. But like it's the only choice I have right now because all the things that are safe foods are like they're like discontinuing them, like the pastas he eats and the tea, like, so I'm like freaking out. Like pretty soon all he's gonna eat is oatmeal, yogurt, and fucking Nutrigrain bars. Like we've got to do something. So you know.
well, on the upside, that sounds a little healthier than Wesley's little grouping right now. We've got like mac and cheese, Nutella, white cheddar Cheeto puffs. That
Yeah,
might be it. That might be it right now.
I'm definitely grateful that I never like even introduced those things, so it never was, he never had the opportunity to let something like that become a safe food. So I'm very grateful for the way that I did things because
But I'm gonna like even when he was a baby, like
I thought he ate well, and he's like just regret. I thought like you were saying.
I mean he didn't eat well per se. He just ate like some more things, and he's regressed recently. But he wouldn't really eat healthy foods to begin with because we did present him with a lot of that kind of stuff, and it was rejected time and time again. Because I'm like, especially, you know, when it's baby foods, it's really easy. And so
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I was trying to feed him for like the first 2 years of his life.
Mhm.
And if I didn't diversify a little bit, he wouldn't have eaten anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like the texture or if it was taste or just a combination. I really don't know. But stuff that I thought he should like that, you know, kind of tastes good, like sweet potatoes. I'm like, these are good, right? No.
Yeah, no, homie doesn't like sweet potatoes, but
I
it,
don't
it
know.
it's part of our, I think too, for us, like the consistency of routine. Like he gets gold potatoes one night and sweet potatoes the next night, and every time it's sweet potato night, he throws a fit. But then I say, "But tomorrow is," and he says, "gold potato night." So I say, "Then what is tonight?" And he's a rule follower. Tonight is sweet potato. So even though he doesn't love them, he knows it's the rule. You know, every
Yeah.
kid's
And
different. So
honestly,
I
it would
gotta
be nice
answer.
to having the ability to negotiate because I'm like, Wesley doesn't
Mhm.
understand the concept still of like, he can't anticipate things, you know, like he doesn't even get holidays really. Like, oh, Christmas is coming and presents are coming.
Right.
Like, we build up to that kind of thing, but he doesn't really know until the day of. And even then, it's not a motivator for him because he's like,
Of course, right. Like I said, every child is
"Oh,
so different,
I
and
know, but and it's just like I haven't figured out a way to negotiate with him or like motivate him. And so I mean, hence why like, you know, we still haven't potty trained and like all these milestones. I'm like, I just don't know how to motivate. So honestly, we have been we're in the talks with our pediatrician about referring him for feeding therapy. So maybe I can learn some ways to motivate a child who's specifically like Wesley. Cause I'm like, I love the gold star idea.
I can tell
But
you
I
right
wasn't really
now,
having
we should talk one on one about this later because, dude, I've done feeding therapy for 3 years, and I can tell you right now, the number one thing, you know your child better than them fucking therapists do, and you know what motivates him way more than they do, and like from just
He
thinking of
likes his
things like-
games.
I was just about to say he likes video games. That would be what I use. When anything you can pick up on as his mom, and you know more than just games. Me and Lisa know that because you've told us that. But like I'm sure there's things you just have to really think about it and really want to pinpoint those things and just it's the repetitiveness. Like you might do it
But
30
that's what I was
times
like,
and
if
it
he
won't click, but 32 times it just might. So
exactly. I was like, just because he's not making the connection now doesn't mean
right,
he
and he won't.
a few months after we've done it many times. Like,
We are about to get cut off.
oh,
Nicole, sorry, you got us on a rant about something.
No,
I-
I'm good. I wanted people to talk and like spark people's good.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
We love you,
Yeah,
Nicole.
no problem. Thank you guys.
Seriously. That was so much appreciated. And we'll talk more about this feeding therapy thing because I got some ideas. You got my wheels turning. I will share with you everything I know and see
Yeah.
if
But
it
if
makes
if I
sense.
have the structure, I can implement it. I just don't know how to go about it. You know what I mean?
I got you, dog. We'll talk. Love, peace, chicken grease, ladies. See you guys later. I'll give you a calendar of the new calls for May soon. I'm just getting situated here in Michigan, so we'll talk. Adios, y'all.